we'll just talk about this one here. Now, what's the address? Is it the farmhouse at Tixover?
At Tixover, yes.
The farmhouse at Tixover, and there was some trouble here with an entity.
Yes.
A farmer that used to actually own it.
Used to be the previous owner.
Previous owner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so again, as I said, with the farming community, because they work the land day in, day out, and when their time comes and they die, they still think it's their land and I'm not going. And so there's a high percentage of the exorcisms I do are linked with farming families, which is quite surprising.
Wow.
It took a while for it to dawn on me, but eventually I got it.
But this particular entity,
yes,
his name was Wilfred, was
Wilfred?
It? Deuce.
Deuce. Yes.
Right, Deuce.
Deuce, yes.
Yes. And he wouldn't go.
No.
And from what I understand, Tree, that lived here with her husband Percy, didn't mind him too much when it was just footsteps and little things.
Little things.
But then
taps being turned on and off. But
then it got more serious. Ralph.
Yes, they put up with the minor stuff. Then after a while, then I think Percy was away on business. She was on her own. We'll have to check with Tree, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. And then she suddenly realised she was smelling gas. And then she came into the kitchen and all the gas taps had been turned on.
Gosh.
And then shortly after that, they found they would always make the fire up for the following day, the open fire with sticks and paper.
Yes.
And that was fine, and that was in the morning of that day. So all day, they didn't actually use it overnight. It wasn't needed. But then suddenly found that it was came down and it was lit.
Gosh.
Somebody
the entity.
The entity had lit the fire.
How on earth could a spirit or ghost light a fire, create fire?
Oh, well,
a mystery.
Well, yes, I can't clarify why and how, but with poltergeists moving furniture, cups flying across the room, tiles flying off of roofs, they can achieve all of this.
Wow. So, but you did persuade this particular entity to go.
Yes.
Can you explain how you did that, Ralph, please?
Right. So I go through the whole farmhouse, and that's where I say on that far right window, I saw all the farm workers waiting outside, and I said to Tree, they're all lining up. She said, oh, that's where he used to pay all the farm workers at the end of the week, and that's how they, at that time going back, that's how they were paid.
Gosh, so they still return to the window.
Yes,
the ghosts.
Yes, because that's
a row of ghosts.
Yes, that was their journey. So,
here's Tree.
Here's Tree.
Aren't they wonderful little big dogs? Hello.
We were just talking about Wilfred.
Oh, Wilfred, dear Wilfred. He was a rum chap apparently. Whoops.
Was he?
Sorry?
He was the one that was causing your gas to turn on. So, Ralph, could you quickly explain how you got Wilfred to actually leave this house?
So, as I said, we just, didn't we, Tree? We just said a short part of the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
And then, because I'm talking to him now, so we know he's there, and then just asked him, challenged him to talk to me now, tell me what he wants, and that's a command. So I go from talking quite normally to talk to me now, and that I have to address.
You command him.
Oh, it's a command, yes. and then
and he did talk to you.
Well, we just had a little word with us, and
he said his wife wouldn't bother us because she hated the place.
Oh.
Yes.
And the joke, Percy's parents knew them quite well. They came to the odd drinks do here, that when he died, he left the joint money, which was his wife's, to his sister.
Oh, God.
And Percy's father thought it was hysterically funny.
Oh,
gosh. So he had the last laugh on the wife.
Yes, didn't he just?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And so on that, then I was shown and told that he'd been taken safely across. Someone had taken his hand.
From the other side?
From the other side, so he was safe. And then I was shown also by my guides as well that everything was in order.
Right, but he left a message, didn't he? A very sweet message.
Yes, to Percy.
Didn't he say, I leave you my heart?
Yes, I leave you my heart to take care of the land.
Wow. Ralph, we met Tree, lovely lady at Tixover, but she had a few problems with spiritual activity. Would you call it spiritual activity in the house historically?
Correct.
And I understand that at first she took it all with a bit of humour because a person called, or an entity called Wilfred Dews was the old farmer that lived there, and also he was the holder of the keys for the church, wasn't he?
Yes, indeed.
But he passed away, but wouldn't leave.
No.
Can you tell me a bit more?
No, indeed. The interesting thing is with a lot of the farming families that I've slowly come to recognise is that because the strength of the farming community, they're working the land day in, day out, fighting all sorts of weather, good, bad and indifferent, getting the crops in and out on time.
Price changes.
Yeah. And I should think a lot of battles with the EU as well, to boot. But yes, Tree and Percy at first, when these things were starting to happen, they just passed them off as, oh, well, it'll probably go away. And then they found, more so when Tree was on her own, if Percy was away on business or buying sheep, rams, whatever, and she'd be on her own for 2 or 3 days at a time, these things would happen. And
what was happening?
Right. Well, from time to time, she would get what she felt was like a chop.
Karate chop?
Yes, like a chop on the back of the neck or side of the neck, and sometimes on the back of the shoulder. And think, oh, gosh, who's done that? Well, because she's the only one in the farmhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would lay their open fire every day, clean it out, brush everything out, then lay it with paper, sticks and a few little bits of coal. For that evening, absolutely. And time she would come back and someone had lit it. Oh. So that was getting potentially a little dangerous.
And frustrating.
Yes. And physically able to light the fire. This is spirit.
A spirit can light a fire.
Indeed.
I know it can send balls of fire through the air, through the room.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So then she was starting to get a little concerned, and understandably so. And the other issue was that the gas taps in the kitchen kept being turned on, but left on.
Gosh, so very, very dangerous.
Indeed. So when Tree first came back, she had to rush round, get everything turned off, get all the doors, windows open. It was seriously bad.
Well, it could have blown up.
Oh, absolutely, as she said. But again, being on her own, left her feeling very unsettled. And understandably so.
So Wilfred had overstepped the mark by now, hadn't he?
Yes. She said they, in the farming fraternity, they knew Wilfred was very much a prankster. Liked practical jokes, but perhaps would push it a level too far.
Yes, yeah.
And this was coming through, even though he was in spirit, but he still thinks this is his home. He's doing what he wants to do, or trying to move Percy and Tree on.
Yeah.
Doesn't
get
want
rid
them
of
there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they called you, Ralph, did they?
Yes. So it started the first time in one of their little properties where his son and his to-be wife were staying until their house was built, just on not too far away from Tixover.
Okay, yeah.
And while they were waiting for the building work to be finished on their main property, they stayed there. And again, they were getting terrible smells in there, taps being turned on and off. And I picked up it was the old shepherd, but a terrible smell as well. And they couldn't get rid of the smell. And Tree was thinking about getting in an industrial cleaner or dying a rod? Are the drains blocked, sinks?
Yeah.
Has something died behind the kitchen unit?
It was that bad.
That bad. Oh, awful. Yes. And I said, no, this shepherd is seriously smelly. And then when Tree checked out, yes, he was renowned for his foul smell. He never washed, apparently. So this shepherd absolutely stunk to high heaven.
And this is his spirit.
This is his spirit.
But am I right in saying that smell is a frequency anyway?
Yes.
So they can produce a frequency which is abhorrent to the human.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yes. So
how did you deal with it? Going back to Wilfred, though,
right.
How did you deal with Wilfred? Did he introduce himself to you eventually?
Yes, I reached him to not too strong a level, but enough to talk with him, and it was just disgruntled. He didn't want anybody in his farmhouse. It was his.
He told you that?
Oh yes, yeah. End of that. That's it. Down tools, you know. So hence he was trying to move Tree and Percy on. So again, I with obviously Tree and Percy's permission, then I started the exorcism. Short part of the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
Then I challenge the spirit. Who are you, and what do you want? And you talk to me now.
Do you shout this with some force?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
It's a command.
Yes.
Because he's not going to go willingly.
Right. And did you have your spirits with you, Ralph, at the
yes,
time?
I always have protection.
And you know that they're there?
Immediately.
And they protect you. They wrap something round you, I think you said, didn't you? A protective veil, really.
Yes, for want of a better description,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, yes.
So they were there?
Yes, so, and then often at that time, they will speak to me. Often sometimes I can go back to 15th, 14th century, and they'll show me the original deeds of the property. And in one farmhouse, not in a village not too far away, the deeds were all on vellum.
Oh, and they showed you an image of it in your mind?
Yes, they gave me the names on the deeds.
Oh my
And when they found the deeds, the names I gave them were on the deeds.
Oh.
So that's lovely proof.
Isn't
that
it
14th,
amazing?
15th century.
It's mind-blowing.
Yes, and I've never seen vellum deeds before either.
No. From the 1400s.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
So
Wilfred. So you were shouting, "Go!" and reciting the Lord's Prayer.
No, just short. So a short part of the Lord's Prayer. I go through every room in whatever property I'm having to complete the exorcism on.
Yes.
So a bit like a sheepdog, I always pretty well just walking around the property once, I know immediately where the epicenter is. Or
right.
It's like in a house, we will constantly use the kitchen, the bathroom, the toilet, so we have walkways that are used more than other rooms.
Right, yes, yeah.
And as in every house or hall, castle, caravan, doesn't matter. Wherever. And so I check out every room, and then from the weakest, then I work towards the epicenter, the one main room, which may have been his favourite room, sitting looking out over his land, etc. And then once we get to that stage, and in every room, the door is closed, a window is open, so there has to be a release, an exit for the spirit to go from.
Yeah.
A portal. Again, I'm opening a window or a door.
Yeah. Do you have to open it wide or just a little? Or?
No, just as long as there's a 4, 5, 6 inch gap, as long as there's a release.
Yeah.
I tend to open it pretty as much as possible.
Yeah.
Subject, if it's in the middle of the winter, it isn't always.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I will command it to go, and go in God's name, and go in peace. And then I'm often shown that someone will say, "Oh, someone's just taken my hand. I'm being taken."
Oh, really?
Yes. So I don't condemn them to a black hole, but they're passed across with care. Yes.
Did I read that you spoke in his voice, Ralph? Is this the one where you sort of speaking in Wilfred's voice?
I may well have done. I generally can't fully remember that now. That's
Okay.
it's there have been instances where I picked up a grandmother of a family in the healing room, and the 14-year-old son and 13-year-old daughter was there as well. And when we finished, they were all shocked. And then the young lad, the 14-year-old, he said, "It was Grandma's voice coming from you, Ralph. It wasn't your voice. It was Grandma's voice."
Goodness.
I said, "Oh, that's
But
nice."
you don't mind?
Oh no, it's part of. I wasn't totally aware.
Gosh. Amazing.
So I'm not
Yeah.
being taken over, far from it.
They're
Absolutely.
using you nonetheless to speak through.
Yes.
Which is but it's not a full possession.
Goodness me, no. That wouldn't happen with me, because my protection is fortunately too strong.
Yes.
But interestingly, with smells, if it's the grandmother that's passed
Yes.
or mother,
Yeah.
and going back in time, you can often get, and the family can often smell her perfume, a lavender being an old fragrance. I did a saddle maker again in a village not too far from here.
Yeah.
And as soon as you went in, you could smell his tobacco pipe, because apparently when he was making his saddles, he always had his pipe going as well.
And you could smell it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was just like someone's lit it under your nose.